everyone, and welcome to the Digital Signage Today podcast. I'm Judy Mottl, editor of Digital Signage Today. Very excited about our guest. She is Kathy Isaacs, the Vice President of Sales at 22 Miles, which is an all-in-one content management system platform. So Kathy is a seasoned digital signage professional who has been leading projects at 22 Miles for over 8 years. She works closely with clients to identify needs, develop tailored proposals, coordinate with partners and vendors, manage projects to ensure on-time, on-budget delivery, and provide ongoing service to support long-term client success. So thanks for being here, Kathy.
Thanks for having me.
So before we jump into talking about CMS, how about you share some insight about 22 Miles and maybe your role?
Sure. So 22 Miles has been around since 2007. So we're in our 18th year here. We started with 3D interactive wayfinding, which we did invent. And now you can get any kind of digital signage through us, from space booking to regular digital signage, video walls, anything you can imagine 22 Miles can do. So very much all in one, as you mentioned.
So does the 22 Miles refer to anything? Is that like the wayfinding limitation or something?
It's a great question. We get asked it all the time. If you can think of those insurance commercials, I don't remember exactly which one it is, where they say most accidents happen within 11 miles of your home because you're always going to the grocery store, your church, or work, or anything. So that radius is 22 miles, and that's where the name came from.
All right. Pretty cool. I always like to find out the background. Yeah. So let's talk content management systems.
Okay.
Content, as everyone knows, is pretty valuable and important with a digital signage initiative. Mm-hmm. But sometimes a brand or an organization doesn't choose the best technology or the best partner the first time around.
Yeah.
And that leads to frustration and unmet expectations. So what should a company or brand know before even looking to pick that partner in technology?
Sure. So there's probably about three things, I think. One is that you have to think about not just today, but where you might be growing with your digital signage. So we will definitely have people come to us and say, well, we have a CMS, but it doesn't do wayfinding, or it doesn't do video walls or space booking, or we kind of didn't think about that ahead of time. So you want something that's really going to grow with you and is going to be what we always call future-proofed. Then the second thing we find people do is that they don't bring in all of the parties that are going to have something to do with the decision and also the use of the CMS. So you might start off with marketing communications, but they forget to bring in facilities, or IT comes in halfway through the project and they're like, oh, wait, you needed to think about security. So we want to make sure we have all the people in right from the start, so everybody has their input and we know that we're doing everything properly. And then third would be the actual end user. We want to make sure it's easy for them to use. They're going to be doing it every day. So you may not be in that decision-making process, but you might want to consider kind of what their life is like as you're making that decision.
Okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So now I'm ready to start looking for a CMS platform. Mm-hmm. What questions should I have lined up? Because I want to vet that vendor, right?
Sure.
But I could possibly meet up with a very salesy pitch that I can't get around.
Happens.
So what do you recommend to ask?
Oh, that's true. I think the most important thing is to have them do a demo for you so that you can actually see it in action using specific projects or things they want to show you that they've done for other customers, so you know it's real. If you're looking at something for a university, you want to find other universities have used that product rather. So definitely real world examples are important, and something live so that they're showing it to you as they're using it, as opposed to maybe a video that is great and it's a good thing to look at to start, but you want someone to really show you so you can ask questions, what it's like to really use the product. So I would say a live demo is very important.
And is there, and I don't know what the rule is, but is there that opportunity to say, okay, can I talk to one of your end
Absolutely.
users or clients?
Yes. Absolutely. And we want to do that as well. Ask your potential vendor for references, again, of the same type of project you're looking at, or perhaps the same industry you're in. And it's always good to talk to someone. I would say that you just want them to connect the two of you, and that's it, so that they can talk honestly with each other. But for sure, you it's a big purchase, and it is something that once you do it, you don't want to have to do it all over again, so you really want to make sure it's right for you.
Right. And I think everybody's pretty open minded that nothing is perfect,
Of course.
and every CMS platform, deployment is going to have a challenge somewhere inherent, in the process, right?
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, I can think of a couple of things. We do like to call them challenges because we do like to be able to, to get over any humps that there are. So sometimes we just have complexities that we're talking about, and that's the case. So I can think of one example where we had a book fair that was going on in another country, and they needed to have the trade show floor needed wayfinding, and they did not realize you actually need internet to be able to run the CMS. And so we had our project manager and technical manager on the phone with them till 3 in the morning, making sure this all worked for them. So, you do as much as you can ahead of time to make sure it's all working, but that particular person wasn't involved in the beginning of the project. So, those things kind of happen for sure. And then we had another situation where somebody absolutely had to have something turned on, a New Year's Day. So we had a technical person talking to someone on New Year's Eve. They rang in the new year together, just to be able to get through, making sure that that was up and running for their very important, situation that next day.
Right.
So,
I mean, you're there supporting them 24/7.
mhm,
So,
yeah, you
you
want to.
can't say we're on holiday, right?
Well, and also people definitely, you might have someone who's new, who's never used the product before, someone's on vacation, and so there's somebody new. Or sometimes there's just a technical glitch, and that's where, in our case, our team is there to be able to support them. So you do want good technical support, and that would be something else to ask, those references. Nothing's perfect. Were they
Right.
there for you when you had something go wrong?
So, that leads to the question of when you partner with a CMS platform, you have that option of kind of saying, come in, set it up, show us how to run it, and then we'll hold it. But then you can also have that partner kind of be your management partner as well, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways to do it. So for us, our goal is to make sure that our customer can do everything on their own, that we train them properly, that we make sure their workflow works for them, because we don't want them to have to wait for a technical person to get back to them. Not that they have to wait long, but we want them to feel confident in doing it themselves. So we try to make sure that they are well trained to do something quickly, if they want to. Of course, we are there to help them. If they decide that they need to have something they've never done before, we are there with all kinds of extra creative services. And you do want somebody who is going to help you to learn and kind of do that extra that you might want to. So yes, you want that relationship where we can help with managing that as well, for sure.
So if I'm in a situation with a potential partner
Hmm.
and they quickly start talking about how they can customize their solution for
Hmm.
my needs,
Right.
is, is that a red flag, Kathy?
I think that you need to be careful about that, because there is customization, and then there's just like, let's put together something and hope it works. so, so if it's not part of their normal repertoire of often offerings, you really need to find out, are they doing this just to make the sale? And then you have to be worried if it's going to work, or is this something they truly can customize for you because it's what they do, or maybe it's something that they can offer down the road, for that. I know for us, about half of our new features come from customers saying, we'd like to do this. And we're like, what a great idea. Let's talk about that later, So again, lots of questions, ask questions.
Right. It goes back to the whole vetting part of, if we need this, can you do it or not, right? Like
Exactly. Yep.
knowing it ahead of time.
For sure.
So, with your background, can you share any like common missteps that, an organization may make when scoping out, the right CMS platform?
Yeah, so besides what we talked about before, not getting the right people involved, from the start, um, a lot of times they don't really think through the hardware part of it in terms of does this media player work? Um, I would say, is the vendor you're looking at telling you you have to use this particular hardware? It only works on this hardware, or do you have some flexibility? Can you use what you already have so you don't have to, have a budget for new hardware, for example? So even though you're talking to a software vendor for CMS, it works on hardware. So you want to make sure that that is also going to be compatible and that everything will work. So I definitely see that as an issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's that whole, you start to plug something in and then you realize,
Yeah,
and you've made that investment. So it can
yes.
be tough, and I'm sure you have a million stories, but can you kind of like share maybe one of the most challenging, as we would say, projects you guys have been involved with? And you
Um,
don't have to name names.
okay. Um, I think that sometimes the biggest challenging ones are when people are doing big video walls that have a lot of moving parts, that they have a lot of different displays. And can the content go across one screen or, just a few of the screens? And I think one of the most challenging ones we had is that the content just wasn't showing up properly, just like you said. And so we had to go out and say, okay, what's happening in this communication between the hardware and the software to make sure that the pictures aren't going off the edge over here or upside down over there, or whatever it happens to be. So yeah, things just have to be set up properly, just like you're saying, for sure. But we got it all done and it all runs smoothly now.
So, as we start to wrap up a little bit,
Mhm.
let's talk about like where assessment and evaluation feature into choosing the right option. Because I've never, I obviously, installed a project, but is there a standard operating procedure, in terms of like how are we going to evaluate the project
Mhm.
as a whole, and then are we routinely assessing how it's working, like that whole process?
Yeah, yeah, to make sure it's done right in the first place and to keep it running smoothly, now to the future. Yeah, so I think that it's important to know what your goals are and what you want things to turn out, like in this immediate time frame that you're looking for this. But then you also want to say, how are we going to continue to evaluate this? Do we need to talk to the people who are using the software, routinely, once a quarter or something? How's it going? Do you need any more help? Do you need some more training? Doing the same thing review. Sometimes people will set it and forget it and never go look at the displays because they're working from home or something. We want to say we're going to do a walk around, every certain amount of time. So we want to evaluate that. But then also a lot of CMSs have just reporting within the CMS, statistics, is the touch screen being touched? Are people logging in properly? So having those reports and backgrounds in the CMS is also important too.
Right, it's so funny. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed them on LinkedIn, but every now and then someone posts a picture, of a display that's blank or empty,
Yeah,
completely empty, and you just stop and you think,
yeah,
wow, do they know what's
yeah,
like? Does the actual owner of that or the asset owner know what's going on? But that might be one of the other things they need to know way ahead of time. Is
yeah.
this is not something you plug in and walk away from, right?
Yeah, I think that's part of it too. Also, a lot of CMSs do have the ability to view what's on the screen from the CMS. You don't need to go walk all over your hospital or whatever it might be. So that's very helpful. But it's also good to kind of take that walk around and make sure it's all working and making sure people are using it, making use of it, because that's the
Right.
goal.
'Cause, I mean, that's the purpose, right?
Yes.
Oh, it's been so great chatting, Kathy. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Thank you again. I enjoyed it.
To our listeners and viewers, please subscribe to the Networld Media Group YouTube channel and check out digitalsignagetoday.com and sign up for our newsletter so that you'll never miss another great podcast like we had today with Kathy.